Sarah Tree again, and I am back again with another 7 things, and this time it is 7 things that every van lifer should own, and this is stuff that you guys might not have thought about. Okay, so you guys are all familiar with car camping and, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know the basics. You're going to have, you know, something good to sleep on, and you're going to have, you know, something to carry water, something to cook on, you know, the basic stuff. And everybody's going to think of all that kind of stuff. And so I'm trying to put out here some things that you guys might not have thought of, things that it took me many years to really, like, I don't know, decide that I was going to do, or even just think about purchasing. And once I did, I was glad, because it makes my experience a lot more comfortable. These things are, some of them, as far as I'm concerned, are kind of sort of necessities, but you know, you can do this lifestyle without having them. But in my opinion, if you do have these things, it will make your experience a lot easier and a lot more comfortable. So let's just get right into it. Okay, number one is a really good one. Everybody knows that they need a really nice, good, comfortable place to sleep, no matter what kind of life they live. If you're not comfortable when you sleep, it's gonna suck, okay? So my first recommendation is to get a really good sleeping bag. This one I have here is an old one. It's called a Camp 7. They don't make them anymore. It's a down sleeping bag. It's for not ultralight backpacking, but a backpacking kind of deal. Winter camping. It's a rated 0 sleeping bag. And what you want is something like that, that's 0 or even colder, like a -20 or a -30. Now, the caveat to that is that within the last couple of years, they found out that they weren't rating the sleeping bags properly or something, or maybe they didn't have quite the R value that they thought that they did. So some of the older ones are not quite as warm as we once thought. And some of the ones that they still make the same way had to be re-rated, so they're not exactly as warm as they were. If that makes any sense. So if you buy a used sleeping bag, just know that even if it's rated for 0 or 20 or 30 or whatever, it's not going to be quite as warm as it says it is. It's going to be a few degrees off. So keeping that in mind, it's still good to buy a used one if you can't afford a new one, because some of the new ones that are, you know, rated at 0 or lower are extremely expensive. And just so you know, most of the ratings on sleeping bags are in Celsius. So a 0 rated sleeping bag means that it'll keep you warm down to 32 degrees. Now, you may not be comfortable, but you're not going to die. Okay, but if it gets much colder than that, then your sleeping bag's not going to work. Now, if you're inside of a van or something like that and you have some other bedding to go with it, you're probably going to be just fine with a 0 sleeping bag. But if you can afford it and or find one, I would recommend to get one that would even go down colder than that, because worst case scenario is you could just, you know, sleep on top of it if you have to store it, because they're going to be a little bit thicker, some of them. Now, mine is down, but you don't have to get down. They actually have some very nice synthetic bags that are rated for that capacity. But just know that, you know, if they're not down, they're going to be heavier. So it's not something you're going to be wanting to necessarily take, you know, tent camping or backpacking or something like that. But they're great for the van. And I'm telling you, you just never know. You could get into a situation where you've ran out of fuel and it's really cold outside, and you're going to need to be keeping yourself warm. So having at least a 0 rated sleeping bag or better is going to do a lot of good for you, especially in an emergency. So I highly recommend that you get a good sleeping bag. Now, I love this sleeping bag. It is one of the best sleeping bags I've ever owned. I'm probably never ever going to let go of it, but how I am going to, when I have the money, upgrade to a 0, you know, down to a -20 or a 30. Because I really think that it's important, especially the way that I'm hoping to be able to travel here pretty soon. I might get myself into some really cold situations, and so it's going to be extremely important for me to have a sleeping bag that will help me to survive if it gets to be really, really cold, because like I've said before, you can't always heat your rig good enough to stay warm enough. There's going to be times when you're going to need something like that. So number one is very important. Okay, number two is another important one. And some of this stuff you should have even if you live in a sticks and bricks, okay? Some of this is just good common sense stuff. A water filter. I've showed you guys this filter before in one of my other videos, but basically it has like a bladder that's probably about almost a gallon. You fill this up with water and it goes down through this tube. It's gravity fed. And then this part's the filter, and then this part right here is the part that, you know, you put in your water bottle, or you can even drink out of it or whatever you need to do. But this is a very good camping filter to have, just in case you need to filter water for any reason. My only gripe with this one is that it doesn't filter out chlorine. But if you're in the backcountry, who cares? You're just going to be filtering creek water or spring water or something anyway. So you're not going to be needing the chlorine thing. If you have the space and can afford it, get a Berkey. They've got chlorine filters on them, so that would be great. Or, you know, watch my video and learn how to get rid of chlorine yourself. But either way, no matter what, it's very good to have a water filter on hand, even if you don't use it all the time, just in case. Okay, another thing is small battery packs. Now, I have these little battery packs, and you've probably all seen them. You can get them at Walmart in various sizes. They have different, you know, amounts of power on them. They can charge your phone a few times here and there. And yeah, whoop-de-doo, but you know what? If something happens to your solar and you need a little bit of backup power, or let's say you're out walking around and you're taking videos of stuff and your camera battery runs dead or whatever, these are a good thing to have. I find that they've been a game changer, because, you know, before I had my solar hooked up, or like the time recently when I had to replace my battery, it was a very good thing for me to have these little battery packs. This one's a little bit bigger. It's called an Emoto. I wanted to get a Jackery, but I ended up getting this one instead, and I'm kind of glad that I did, because this one is pretty large capacity. I think it's like 20,000 whatever amp hour things or whatever it is, and it's yeah, but anyway, it's bigger, but it's not as big as a Jackery, so it doesn't take quite as long to charge back up. But yeah, if you can do like a small Jackery too, that would be awesome. Yeah, you don't have to go that route. Those things are expensive. This thing, I think it cost me like $40. And then these ones, you know, these are like, you know, 10 to 20 bucks at the most. So you can have a few of them and just keep them charged and keep rotating like I do, and you'll always have some sort of backup power just in case. Now, one of these little guys might not run your computer, but at least you can use your tablet and your phone if something happens. And the cool part about them is you can use your cigarette lighter in your car, or go over to your friend's house, or go to work and charge it from a wall socket or anything like that. And you could also, if you have the right solar setup, you could charge them off solar panels as well. So they're a great little universal thing, just in case, you know, you need some extra power somehow, somewhere. Some of you guys that are just starting out, you know, may not be thinking about these things, but you're going to need backup power every once in a while, because when you create your own electricity, sometimes stuff happens, especially when you're in a moving vehicle, and you're going to have to troubleshoot. You're going to have to turn it all off or whatever. And sometimes you could be out of power for a day or two, and you're going to need some way to charge your phone and maybe possibly use your lights and all that kind of stuff. So having a little backup battery of some sort, I feel, is an extremely good idea. Okay. Now, number 4, and you guys have seen these too if you've watched my videos about lighting your van, are, you know, my little Lucy lights, or any kind of little light that runs off its own kind of battery, whether it be a AA or a AAA, or these little solar batteries that are in here. Something that's separate from your main lighting system is a good idea. No matter whether you live in a van or sticks and bricks or a tent or whatever, you do need some extra backup lighting. And I love these, and I use them every day, even in conjunction with my regular lighting, because I can move them around the van to wherever I need them to be. And the ones like this one that are frosted are kind of like a candle. You can actually turn them down so they almost look like a candle, and some of them have different colors, so they're kind of like mood lighting. So I think they're really nice, especially in the summertime when you don't want to light a candle and heat up your van. So solar lights, big game changer for me. I think I couldn't have survived during my van build without these, and during the times when I've had to have my power, had to shut off my solar. I don't think I would have made it without my little solar lights. It would have drove me nuts having to just use a flashlight or something like that. So I'm very happy that I have these. So these are a really good thing to have. Okay, and a spray bottle. Number 5 is a good spray bottle and or a weed sprayer. Just something that you can mist water with. These are great because they can help you keep cool in the summertime. They can help you wash dishes, do all types of cleaning kind of things. I own several spray bottles. A lot of people do, but it's just probably something that you don't think about in your van life. If you're the type of person that has to wash your dishes with soap and water, having a spray bottle is indispensable, especially when you're boondocking. And I don't care if you have the full, $200,000 RV with all the plumbing set up or whatever. When you're trying to save water, and electricity, you really don't want to be running your 12-volt water pump all the time. So having a spray bottle with just water in it is great. You could also, use it for bathing if you really needed to. If I had the money, I would get something like what they call an Aquabot, which is basically just a pump up sprayer like a weed sprayer that goes on a Nalgene bottle. And the cool part about them is you can flip them upside down and spray them still. So that's the advantage to having something like that. So yeah, I really highly recommend some type of really good spray bottle. And you could get a cheaper version of that at the hardware store. I like to go to the garden section and get the ones for spraying plants because they're very adjustable, and you can have several different types of mists on them, and you can also have them do like the long stream or spray. So just go to the hardware store, get a good spray bottle, and it's gonna really open up your world, trust me. I can't live without my spray bottles. Okay, and it sounds really funny, but it's the truth. I can't live without them. Another one that a lot of people when they're first starting out don't think about is a good tent. And they're going, okay, well, Sarah, look, we're already camping. What do we need a tent for? You need a tent for several reasons. One is if you pull up to a campsite and you need to go to town or whatever sometime during the time that you're there, you could always pitch your tent and hopefully it will save your camp spot. That's one thing you can do. If you live in a small car or van or SUV or whatever, and you just don't have enough room to have your gear in there all the time, your tent is a good place to stash your gear. If something happens and your rig breaks down and you have no place to stay, at least you will have a tent that you could pitch in somebody's backyard or whatever you need to do. Some of us still like to go tent camping. I'm one of them. I'm a person that every once in a while, because I live camping, it doesn't really feel like camping anymore. So to really feel like I'm roughing it, I want a good tent. So, I go out and I pack in and I pack out and I have my little tent and all's good, right? Well, it's great. Another reason to have a tent is maybe you have somebody traveling with you and they don't want to sleep in the van, but they didn't bring anything with them because they're in your car and all they have is their little tiny backpack with nothing in it. Okay, now you have a guest room for whoever that's staying with you. There's very many reasons why you should have a tent. Always have a tent with you. And like a person has said before in my life, and I don't even remember who it was, but they told me that if you have a tent, you always have a home. So just don't go anywhere without a tent. I don't care if it's just a little Walmart tent. Get a brand new tent, throw it in your car. A 1 person, 2 person, 3 person, I don't care what it is. Just something that you can have as an auxiliary room possibly, or whatever, all potty tents and all that kind of stuff aside, and all those, special awnings that you see all these other nomads carry around. Those are all fine and dandy and they're great. But, if you can do it, I suggest at least just get a regular kind of tent, a dome tent. I love mine. Mine is a big Agnes. It's quite an expensive, you know, tent. This is like, I think, a 2 or 3 man backpacker's tent, and it's really lightweight. It's got like the aluminum poles and all that kind of stuff. I came upon it used, so I lucked out, but these tents are pretty spendy, but you don't have to spend that much money. Just get one at Walmart or someplace. I still have my old Walmart tent that I've had for, you know, 15 years now, and it's a great little tent. It hasn't done me wrong or anything like that. It's just tiny. I think it was actually for kids and not for adults, because I have to sleep in it diagonal, and I'm not very tall. I'm only 5'6". So I'm pretty sure it's for kids. And so I just kind of got tired of having to sleep diagonal in my tent. So I got this one. Another thing to have, and this is number 7, and people don't think about this kind of stuff, is a bucket of some sort. And I like to have a collapsible bucket. You just never know when you're going to need an extra bucket, and I'm not talking about a bucket to poop in, okay? This is a bucket that never, ever, ever touches poop, okay? But it has to be collapsible, because I have to be able to stuff it into spots. And see how little space it takes up now? Yes. So I think a collapsible bucket is a very good addition to your van, or maybe a shallow wash basin or something like that. This bucket I can use to go get water if I need to. I can use it to wash clothes in. I can use it to wash up stuff. I can carry all kinds of things in it. Yeah, it's just a really good, handy thing to have around the van. So I'm thinking that it's a good thing to just tell you guys about, because I don't know how much of this kind of stuff you guys think about. You know, you're probably thinking I need my water jugs, and I need my bed, and I need my stove, and all this kind of stuff. But what about the stuff that goes with it that's actually going to be usable and handy and important? So that's what I'm trying to come across in this video. So in summary, 7 things that every van lifer should own. Number 1, a good 0 rated sleeping bag at the very least. Something that will keep you from freezing to death in an emergency in the wintertime. Period. You need this. If you don't get anything else on this list, get a good sleeping bag. Period. Okay. 2, a water filter. Okay? That one's almost as important as a sleeping bag. For emergency's sake or whatever, you need a good water filter, especially a good hiking or backpacking water filter. Number 3, small battery packs for backup power for whatever your needs may be. Number 4, good solar lights like Lucy lights, or any kind of light that has its own little battery pack that's independent from your rig whatsoever. You don't want it to have to be dependent on your rig to light up, and you don't always want to have to use fire to light it. So you need some sort of battery powered light, and or preferably a light that's solar powered, you know, on its own, not connected to anything. Okay, number 5, a good spray bottle and or a weed sprayer. That's very important, so that you will have some type of running water. And even if you do have running water, you'll be able to conserve your larger amount of water when you are boondocking or in an emergency situation. And lately we've been having a lot of emergency situations going on in our country and around the world. So it's really good to know how to conserve your water and do all these things no matter what kind of lifestyle you live. So a spray bottle, as far as I'm concerned, is indispensable. Okay, a good tent, just in case, because you never know when you might need some extra room, or you never know when you might just want to go camping for real. Okay? And number 7, which is kind of funny, a collapsible bucket, a bucket that's separate from your poo. Okay? Or a shallow wash basin of some sort. They even make collapsible wash tubs now, and collapsible camping sinks. Just something like those collapsible camping sinks are pretty cool. They even have a little drain in the bottom and everything. But just something that you can have, that you can haul extra water in or use to wash things in, other than a sink, you know, because you might want to do stuff outside. I mean, just because your van is equipped or your RV is equipped, it doesn't mean you're always going to want to be using it. You could put the bucket in the sink, and wash your dishes in there, and then you can dump your gray water so you don't have to fill up your tanks. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can do with a bucket and or a wash tub. But I like the collapsible bucket idea, especially for people who are living extremely small, like out of their car or something like that. They can squish it down, shove it under a seat or in the door. I shove mine inside my door pocket here. It doesn't take up any extra room. I don't even notice it's there unless I need it. So yeah, I think number 7 is a pretty good one. So hopefully you guys got some good information out of this. I hope that it made some sense to you. And I hope you like this video. Sorry about the noise, but you know, where I live, there's all kinds of airplanes and all that kind of stuff. No matter where I go in this county, there's always some type of bomber or something going over. But anyway, I hope you guys like this. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please like and subscribe and hit the thumbs up button and all that good stuff. And check my video descriptions, because sometimes I will put links to other videos in there if you're looking for other stuff that I've mentioned. Like some of these things that I've put in this list are in other videos. So just check my descriptions, because I really don't know how to do the whole like putting it up on a screen kind of thing yet. So yeah, if you guys are interested in finding some of my other videos, I'm trying to remember to put links to them in the description. So thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.